So this is Frank Radice. We're here at the Red Touch Media Experience at Cable 2013, and I've got Brian Stelter from the New York Times and the author of the absolutely fantastic book, Top of the Morning. Brian, how long have you been here at the conference?
Since this morning. It's my first day. I was watching from afar yesterday, but I've been here today trying to figure out what the main themes and storylines are.
So what are they?
Well, you hear a lot of talk on the distributor side about cable being such a mature business, people asking whether it's a declining business for video subscribers, and yet there's so much growth in broadband and so much potential in broadband. There seems like there's so much action on that side. Then on the programming side, of course, as in prior years, you see more channels than ever, more programming than ever, and I'm kind of amazed walking around the floor this year seeing new channels even being born as we speak. So there's a lot of interesting growth on that side for people like me to write about.
I think it's kind of interesting that a lot of people are saying that cable is dying, yet they're making so much money.
Right, and they're making so much money and so much new programming on the programming side as well. There's growth on both sides there, even though there are these threats that are seemingly from all directions every day.
So let's talk about the big elephant in the room that I actually haven't been hearing people talk about, and that's the McCain bill. So what the heck is going to...
I haven't heard much talk about it either, nor have we heard much talk ever since that lawsuit was filed by Cablevision involving bundling, involving Viacom. There's been almost no talk about that lawsuit ever since it was filed either. These things are like fireworks. They come up, they burst, then they seem to disappear. And maybe there will be another one of those fireworks, but for the moment, those are one of those threats that I mentioned that's over there on the periphery, but isn't visible or talked about on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, we certainly know how Washington works, so it's not going to go away.
I'm curious about what we've heard this morning from Rich Greenfield at BTIG. He put up a blog post saying that he's hearing that there are clauses in contracts involving MVPDs and programmers that would prohibit virtual MVPDs like Intel from coming into the marketplace. That seemed to get some reporters asking questions at some of the sessions today, and I wonder if we'll see more of that firework as this week goes, because we haven't seen any of those virtual MVPDs, despite predictions for over a year now. Intel, of course, has been the loudest about it. They're holding meetings here, at least on the sidelines here with programmers, and yet if the existing programmers are trying to stop that from happening, that could be an interesting case where Washington may or may not get involved.
So ABC and CBS just dropped a couple of brand new real-time, basically, apps. So you can now see ABC Live in certain cities. You can see CBS programming the day after it's been on the air and all of that. How's cable going to do something with that?
I was watching the ABC app this morning on my train ride because I wanted to try it from New York to Philly, and it seamlessly handed me off from their New York station to their Philly station, which I was quite impressed by. There seems to be an admission here that TV Everywhere is not nearly as expansive as it should be. We heard the head of Comcast, Brian Roberts, this morning saying, everybody's right when they say that we need to be further along, and yet there's all these predictions that a year from now they will be. Maybe this is the year where they will actually make TV Everywhere actually everywhere, or a lot closer to it. But, reporters like me are paid to be skeptical of that. It's been a long time coming, and I wonder if they've missed that initial window for consumers to get on board, to get online. Maybe it's going to take a lot more education and marketing to get consumers to actually try it once it's really available.
Well, clearly, Aereo's been trying to do something with trying to create a situation where they have their antennas that are out there, but they haven't gotten real traction in terms of big numbers, even though they're opening up to 19 markets or something like that.
There's Aereo, there's also Nimble TV. It seems like these startups, maybe their purpose, and I don't know, but maybe their purpose is to push the existing companies into a solution. And that's what we see with ABC, providing live streaming on phones of their stations. We see other networks and stations talking about doing it. Maybe that's in the long run one of the real purposes of Aereo, to force the networks to provide more content in more ways, at more times for more consumers.
Well, thank you very much, Brian Stelter from the New York Times, and this is Frank Radice here at the Red Touch Media Experience. Ciao for now. Great. Cool. That was great. I really